Hey guys, Amy here with Leap of Faith Crafting. Thanks so much for stopping by. So today we're going to be engraving some glass ornaments with the WeCreat Vista. So I've had a lot of questions on whether you can engrave these with the bigger machines because I had a video on doing these with my smaller compact F1. Yes, you can do it with the WeCreat Vista. So in my last video tutorial, we made these super cute wood stands to hold the ornaments, and I promised that I would do a video of actually engraving the ornaments. So this was just out of a piece of basswood that I cut out with my WeCreat Vista 10 watt. So now we're gonna turn and use our rotary and make these super cute custom glass balls that I just got at Michael's. And we're gonna be engraving these and then adding paint inside so that that engraving comes out. So for this tutorial, we are gonna be using a rotary. So I have the Rotary Pro, which is, I showed you in a couple videos before when we did that full wrap on a 40-ounce Stanley, which came out amazing. I loved it. So it's using the new Rotary Pro that has the chuck that you can get into that non-working area because the tumbler goes over this. So now we're just gonna be using the middle part. So I'm gonna be using the 3 rods that came with it. This also comes with the regular rotary. So if you have the regular rotary, perfectly fine, you can use that. I just have the Pro, so I'm gonna be using that, but these also come with the regular rotary. I'm just gonna be screwing them into the second dot there. Just the second dot there, and have them all in. This is what's gonna be holding our ball in place while we engrave it. But again, if you just have the regular rotary, all this comes with it. It has the same parts up here, so you do the same thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch out my Vista so that we can engrave the round things. And with the Vista, since it's such a compact, great little machine, we actually can flip the head, which is super cool. So with it this way, it does anything below it, but we can flip the head so it goes to the side and engrave like tumblers and ornaments, anything round and things like that that need to be on a rotary. So let's get into that, and just make sure you hit that subscribe and like button below so you don't miss any more tutorials. And I will link the videos below of the full wrap for the Stanley and also for making the cute little stand here. Okay, so let's start crafting. Okay, so I know I showed you all this in my tumbler tutorial, but I will show you again. We're just going to take out the beds here. And I always put foil below when I'm engraving wood and things like that, just because it obviously helps with cleanup. I put the shiny side down so then we can just roll it up. Okay, we're gonna turn off the machine, and then we're gonna pull this forward, and this laser head, which is right here, and move it over so we can see it a little bit better. There's just knobs on the side. We're gonna go ahead and just loosen those. And once we loosen them enough and they kind of come out, it just automatically swings forward. So I'm gonna swing it all the way down and then just tighten those knobs. Okay, so that holds it in place. Our laser is all ready to go to engrave on the front side. So now we just need to, okay, so there's 2 screws here that I've taken out, and that is where we are gonna put our rotary. So it's gonna line up. There's 2 pokey heads that come out there too. So we're gonna go ahead and just place those right on there. And then we're just gonna install our screws. Okay, so once we have that on, we're gonna go ahead and plug the end in right there. Okay, so here is one of our glass ornaments, and let's make sure you can see this. We are actually gonna have it hold it there. So I'm gonna place and then the knob is up here, and we're just gonna turn it so it holds it, but obviously not enough to crack it. So we want it held in place so it's not gonna move. and that we can rotate that and that stays on there. Okay, so we have that right there. We're going to leave our lid open while we come over to the software, because the camera, as I mentioned, is up inside the top of the lid over here, so it has to see the open bed this way. Okay, so we're over here in the WeCreat Make It software. I'm going to go ahead and change our laser flat to laser cylindrical. Okay, I'm going to turn my machine back on, and once it all connects, we can go ahead and hit refresh here. Okay, so there is my ball right in the middle and has kind of the center line going down there. And a little hard to see. Okay, it was a little hard to see, so I'm going to go ahead and put just a little bit of that foil back under it so we can see it a little bit better. Now it's all wrinkled up. Okay, so the diameters of my balls are 2.5, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Makes the perimeter about 785, which actually my perimeter is about 8, so I think I'm going to change the perimeter to 8. Okay, and it changes the diameter to 2.55, which is perfectly fine. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and hit refresh once I change this, because sometimes it will actually change what it looks like. It doesn't look like it did. So now we're gonna go ahead and import an image. I'm gonna go ahead, click on import, on my downloads. Okay, and I will link this below of where I got these. I am using this one here. There's a whole pack of nativity ones. So we're gonna go ahead and open that and bring that in. And the first thing when I bring it in, you see there's tons of little boxes around there. I'm gonna go ahead and actually merge these all together. I'm gonna click on merge, merge the graphic shapes. It might take 30 seconds to a minute, just because I want it to be one actually shape. I'm gonna click on the color and just let's change that color so we can see it. Okay, so now we can see it there. So I'm gonna go ahead and lock my scale so it stays the same. I'm gonna go ahead and change it to 1.8. I'm gonna drop it down a little bit to 1.7. Since this is a round ball and I want it round, we're gonna have to mess around with the scale a little bit to account for it going down. We're actually gonna make it a little bit wider than it is tall. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of just pull it over a little bit, not a whole lot more, and make it a little bit shorter. Okay, we're going to try that 1.84, and again, this is going to be trial and error on playing around with it, but once you have one and you really like it, then obviously it will be much easier to figure out. But we're going to hope that accounts for kind of the whole round. Since it's not cylindrical and it's a sphere, it can warp a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then we're going to click off of it. And now the other thing is, since it is a ball, you can't quite line it up like this. So this is where framing is going to come in. So again, I don't really care if it's totally centered, but I have found that I need it up much closer to the top because we can't quite tell what this is. So for my settings, I have found, I did a test array. You can see here, and actually a lot of them did pretty well. I know it's hard to see with glare and things like that, but what I ended up gonna do is I'm gonna do power at 65, my speed at 600, because that's as fast as it will go, number of passes 1, and I'm gonna do a line density of 200. So now I have a new ball in there. I'm gonna go ahead and hit refresh. Okay, and so then when we go, so I don't believe there's a framing on this page. It'd be nice if it was, but we have to go to the next page. We're gonna hit start. Okay, so this is where framing is right here. So this is where we're gonna have to kind of mess around with where it is. So I'm gonna hit that framing button and kind of show you what it does. So it's gonna have a red light and it's gonna show me where it's gonna be. So I can tell, let's do it again. I'm only really worried about the one at the top and then where it goes on the bottom. I want those to be about even. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit it again. So I might want it just up a smudge. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and hit cancel on here. I'm gonna come back to here and I'm just gonna use my arrow to go up just a smudge, okay? I'm gonna go back to start. Again, hit that framing button in there. Okay, so I think I like that. So we're gonna do it there and cross our fingers and hope this goes well. So we're gonna go ahead and hit send. You can see it's gonna take a little over 6 minutes. We're gonna go ahead and close that door and push the button to go. And there it goes. Okay, so it just finished. I'm going to get a processing complete. I'm going to hit complete. I'm going to come over here and open up. Okay, I'm just going to wait for the fan to go off. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove it. I'm just going to go ahead and release that by turning it away from me. Okay, and then you can see there is our engraved ornament. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just use a magic eraser and some water and kind of clean this off. And then we'll pour the paint in. Okay, so here we have it cleaned up, but you can see it's hard to see it. So that's why we are going to put some paint in it. So I'm just using this Fluid Art Ready to Pour acrylic. And you don't need a lot because it takes a long time to dry in here. And the one thing I have the hardest problem with is not getting the paint all over the outside of it. So I'm actually going to put a funnel, and you can use anything. I just have these little silicone things. You can put it on like a ribbon bobbin, toilet paper roll, anything like that you can if you want to have it help to hold up. So I'm just going to put a little bit, squirt a little bit in here. And then, I know it's going to be hard to see because I have the paint on the bottom. I'm just going to start rolling it on the bottom, and you can see how that paint just lights up in there. I need some more. And I'll put my hand on it and shake it a little bit so you can see that all that paint has come over all there already. Okay, so then we're going to dump as much paint out as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of tap it and shake it. And we're going to have to leave it this way to dry. So when it can take, it's pretty cold in my house, so it can take, you know, even up to a day or so to dry, but just to show you, look how cool that is. So just changing, so we get a little dip down on this side, but not bad, but that was to account for the roundness of it. Obviously, if we don't have the words going around and just have a center image, you probably don't need to worry about that much. This is when I try to do it one time, and you can see that it much more pulled down on there before I change that width value. Okay, and you can also let them dry upside down, just in that egg carton, anything you can find really. Okay, and then if there's enough in here, dump it back in there so you don't waste it, or dump it into the next bulb. Okay, so the one thing, it's really hard to see if you're being super nitpicky. You can see a few little of the faint lines, and that has to do with the line per centimeter. I bumped mine down to 220. I usually do it at 300. It just takes a lot longer. Well, not a lot longer, a couple minutes longer, but that helps if you get any of those kind of striations in your image. But again, personal preference, how picky you want to be, how much time you have, all those kind of things. Okay, so I've let these dry overnight, and so there you go. You can see how pretty and crisp that is, and that red, the white paint, but you can use different things in there. Just gonna put that top back on, and then just tie it on to the trees that I made. So you can also make boxes. I've seen people make boxes to just put the ornaments in on their own. Okay, so I hope that kind of got you started using the bigger machines, the WeCreat, with the ornaments, and gave you some tips and tricks of using it, of changing it, and kind of doing the framing and kind of figuring it out is going to be, you're probably going to mess up on a few at the beginning, and that's okay. We all do. You have to kind of figure out what works best for you and your machine. Anyway, I loved how they came out. I'm going to add it, just going to tie it to my tree here. Okay, so there you have the ball. And again, I will link the tutorial, the video tutorial for making the wood stands if you want to do those, and all the links for the files that I use down below. But just another cool way to use the WeCreat Vista and the Rotary if you're wanting to make some personalized gifts and things for the holidays. Make sure you hit that subscribe button below so you don't miss any more tutorials, and thanks so much for stopping by.